From the ashes of the band Joy Division rose New Order, one of the most influential bands of the 1980s. 3 years after their formation, they landed their biggest hit with Blue Monday, perhaps the most hard-hitting use of the Oberheim DMX drum machine in music history.
And the song turned out fantastic, considering that it's basically just cobbled together from pieces of other songs, and New Order first created it to troll their audiences when asked for an encore.
Wait, what? Okay, let's build ourselves some Blue Monday drums. We start with the Oberheim DMX sounds. If you don't have the original hardware, then the next best thing are samples or a plugin like this one. Be aware that the DMX was an EEPROM-based drum machine. This means you could change the sounds by swapping out memory chips. And following the original 1981 DMX, the updated 83 model was shipped with slightly different sounds. Let's start with 4 on the floor at 130.5 BPM. But that kick doesn't quite have the Blue Monday energy yet, does it? Here's a quick way to give it more punch. Run it hot into a tape simulation for some extra crunchy saturation, and boost the low and high frequencies with an EQ. This will really help it cut through the mix later. Still not enough bass for you? Lead vocalist Bernard Sumner thought so as well. So they used a bass synth to create a very deep pulse that they put under the kick. Like this. But our kick still sounds very dry. It needs a space to live in. Back then, New Order supposedly played the DMX kick through a speaker and then recorded the resulting echo of the room. But we'll use a plugin instead. We found that a slightly gated reverb works well. Just experiment with the room size until it tucks in nicely between the drum hits. By the way, if you want to grab this ready-to-use kick, then you can download it for free during the next 7 days on our Patreon, along with all the other drum sounds we made for this episode. You'll find lots of other stuff on there as well, like 150 plus high-quality drum pattern transcriptions, cheat sheets for various drum machines and synthesizers, behind-the-scenes content, and the Drum Machine 101 book we're currently writing. Now comes the good part. We extend the pattern to 2 bars, and in the latter half of the first bar, we fire off everything we've got. This is pretty insane. Add any more kicks, and it becomes tiring and hopelessly over the top. This is the sweet spot where it leaves you just enough time to recover for the next round of getting punched in the face again. So nice. Who comes up with something like that? Well, it turns out, not New Order. The band freely admitted in interviews that they borrowed a few things here and there for Blue Monday. And one of those puzzle pieces is this kick drum pattern from Donna Summer's Our Love, which was produced by Giorgio Moroder. Apart from that, they were also inspired by the bass line from Sylvester's You Make Me Feel, a spaghetti western riff from Ennio Morricone's For a Few Dollars More soundtrack, which in turn overtly references Bach's Toccata and Fugue in D minor during the organ part. And of course Kraftwerk's ominous choir on Uranium. Now on to the second pattern, the first drum fill. Here the kick just keeps the beat going and we shift that rapid fire energy to the snare. A burst of 5, a single, and then again 3 more bursts of 5, each with a 16th pause in between. Sounds very dull though. In Blue Monday the DMX snares mixed aggressively in your face. So here's what we did for our version. EQ, top-end focus distortion, and a bit crusher for that extra piercing presence. Then reverb and stereo widening, so everything sounds fuller with even more impact. Much better. Now it's got some authority. Then a hand clap on the 2 and 4. And let's make that last one a double clap. Oh, and we're still missing that classic ending with the hi-hats. The DMX has 3 different ones: closed, closed accented, and open. Let's hear the open hat again with processing. Did you recognize it? And listen how important the high-pass filter is for the final sound. Much less annoying. That sounds okay, but I believe we can get closer to the original by swapping the first hat for a crash cymbal. Tune it down and trim it. There you go. This is what the intern and I lovingly refer to as the Blue Monday whooping cough, or asthmatic dog. But was this actually technically possible on the DMX? Kind of. While the DMX didn't have any external controls for pitch and decay, the voice cards had a pitch control trimmer and jumpers to adjust the decay curve. On the other hand, we know for sure that New Order used an Emulator 1 sampler for the record, so that would have been a much more straightforward option. The third pattern is a more elaborate version of the first one, so let's make a copy. Here we're going to layer the snares and claps together for some extra oomph. Put them on the 2 and 4 and dial down the hand clap reverb a little. Then a galloping hi-hat pattern. This makes extensive use of the accented closed hat on the 2 and 4. As you can hear, our hi-hat processing doesn't really work anymore. This is still the abrasive front and center hi-hat treatment from before, which was great for the drum fill. But now we need something unobtrusive and supportive that glues the rest of the track together. We got there by cutting away even more low end and using a de-esser to tame the high frequencies. By the way, that compressor makes the hi-hat tails ring out much longer, which really helps to make this one continuous carpet of sound. Now on to the fourth pattern, drum fill number 2. We layer the abrasive open hat on top of the kick. But instead of quarter notes, we play dotted eighth notes, so we contract the hits by a 16th each. Instant classic. Okay, one more pattern to go. Super easy, just 1 bar. Kicks on every beat. The snare and clap combo on the 2 and 4. But this time, the accented closed hats go on the offbeats. This plays during long stretches of the song. Very utilitarian, it leaves lots of room for other elements to unfold, including 2 new percussion sounds. They aren't from the DMX, but you can find clues in New Order's live performances. For example, during their entertainingly catastrophic March '83 Top of the Pops rendition, you can see that Peter Hook plays 2 sounds on the iconic hexagonal pads of a Simmons E-drum kit. So I whipped these up with the Simmons SDSV emulation. The trick is that you put a single quarter note delay on there and another 16th note delay with lots of repeats in parallel. Makes it sound much more sophisticated than it actually is. Watch out for these on the sequencer in the end jam. There's also a 6th pattern, and while it won't appear in the end jam, there's a cool machine gun sound in there which is created with one of the DMX toms. That's a series of double substeps or 30-second notes. Apart from that, only a minor variation on the hi-hats and an accelerating snare pattern, but still ending with a familiar dotted 8th fill. Okay, I think we're good to go. And as always, a big shout out to all of our patrons. Thanks to you, we can keep making these videos.